go.
Okay, so we're here at the entrance of Ed Surbeck's awesome garage. He's a man who lives in Bohemia and knows a lot about horsepower, so we're going to find out what he knows.
So you were telling us why Bohemia would be so much better than a place like Leviton for a car guy.
Yeah, just because cars take up, it's a hobby that you need space.
Right.
There's the properties around in Bohemia tend to be a lot bigger than other places, like let's say Islip. Quarter acres of what they have there with houses, and you can't put something like this up here. Physically, it doesn't fit.
Right.
So another thing entered in that Bohemia, at the time I bought this house, it was not as expensive to buy in Bohemia as it was to buy, let's say, in East Islip or Islip or Smithtown, whatever. That was a factor. Today, I don't think that that's such a factor because Bohemia has come up pretty well in the real estate market. But the places are here. The properties are bigger. Doesn't hurt that there's a lot of people who are car people that are here, so you're not going to hopefully get the people who say, well, we don't want the cars. We don't want people having cars in their backyard.
Right.
I had a friend of mine all along Sycamore, almost, I'm going to say 25-30% of the houses there have horses. You look in the backyards, and a lot of those houses go from street to street. From Sycamore to Ocean.
What are they about, 2 acres or an
2
acre?
acres, 3 acres.
Yeah,
You see the the metal gates, the typical farm gates, and now, especially when the leaves are down, if you kind of peek in there, you can see lots of horses.
With muscle cars, right?
Yeah. When I moved in, I found out just how many were here, because if you just ride up and down the streets, you'll see a garage door open, and there'll be a muscle car, there'll be an antique. Ray, the turkey farmer down here.
Ray Lindsey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about a car guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Ray, he and his wife, they were just terrific people. We'd have the hangouts at Oakdale.
In the parking lot of
and
Best Yet? Is that Best Yet? Okay.
He'd be down there with his Stanley Steamer or his Model A with his wife, and of course every Memorial Day parade, he'd come down with she'd have the big bonnet on and that, and there's a car guy,
and his passion was antique cars, right?
His passion was antique cars, but anything that had a motor and wheels. He would, sometimes the antique guys, they shun guys like me that like to mess around with them. But he didn't care. He said, it's just about a car,
Yeah.
He talked to the guys with the foreign cars that were fixed up, and drag racers, and this kind of car, and
just love cars.
Yeah, and very, very personal. I had 5 cars in here one time, in various stages of disrepair, and
5 cars? Wow.
yeah, and one of them was a 38 Buick.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Things that boat.
I had 38 Buick fenders hanging everywhere on top of everybody else's car, but I'm not a mechanic, I'm a fabricator. Little project I have here is I'm putting power windows in a door that never had power windows. That's what I like to do. I like to put a different motor in a different car. Don't ask me to get it running, but I'll get it in there. I'll make all the brackets, so I'll get it so it works. But and I never liked repairing. Hate repairing.
Only from new, put piecing together.
Yeah. Build a house, love to build a house. Love to build an addition. Don't want to fix the oil burner. I just don't like repairing. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
I like to build new.
I think a lot of people feel like that.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm not the only one.
It's like somebody else's headache sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
and it's no fun repairing. It's fun making, I'm gonna make those windows go up and down with what I got there, and build the brackets, and
Did you have to get a different window to fit that?
Well, it's a custom. That
Oh.
happens to be a fiberglass door, reproduction type hot rod door.
Oh.
And you have to get a piece of glass cut to fit, you know, and they sell kits that, universal kits, power, you know, regulators and stuff. And you just have to make them fit in where you've got and make them work, make the window go back up.
Huh.
That's what I like to do. You know, how can I make this bracket to get the window in and fix it and adjust it and get it so it works? That's what I like to do. I like to, you know, fix a rusty panel or change the lights around on a car. That's what I like.
It's a good thing your son's a mechanic.
Yeah.
Does he work on his own projects
Yeah.
or yours?
No, his own project.
Okay.
I mean, he gives me a hand when I have to do something, you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he's pretty decent, you know, for not being a trained mechanic. He just picks it up and he's got the perseverance to tackle what he's got to do and make it work. 'Cause,
Cool.
you know,
I said about a
does
drag
it?
strip. It was a drag strip.
Oh, Islip drag strip. That, just south of Southern State Parkway, off of Islip Avenue, the west side of Islip Avenue, there was the oval, the stock car oval.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then there was an 8-mile drag strip there.
Huh, that must have been
Yeah.
packed all the time.
Yep. That charger out there, spent a lot of time on that 8th mile.
So in other words, what would happen, like for those of us who don't understand what happens on a drag strip, a bunch of guys will go over there and
Right, it's,
you just drive around the circle and
No,
race?
that's oval racing. Drag
Okay.
strip is nothing but acceleration.
Oh,
Straight line. Normal drag strip is a 1/4 mile.
okay.
But they didn't have it there, so they did 8th mile. And you just go against one another, and it's usually timed.
Uh-huh.
So you get, you know, the time and how fast you went and how long it took you to get there. And
And
Friday
it's illegal,
nights.
like it's illegal?
Well, yeah, because
stuff?
it's a sanctioned strip. It's not
Oh.
on the street.
Oh, okay.
Your car doesn't even have to be registered to be raced there.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So while you were still getting it ready
Mm-hmm.
for the road?
And a lot of guys never registered their race cars because they were race cars. They weren't to go get the groceries.
Any kind of local speed shops back then?
Oh yeah, there were quite a few small local guys. Johnny Savison was in Bayshore. He ran a dragster at Islip, and this guy that works for him had a 52 MG with a small block Chevy in it. And he ran there. And they would bring talent in from outside, you know, the heavy hitters to race to bring the crowds.
The
you know.
drivers?
Yeah.
Oh, did people come and watch that?
Oh, of course.
And it was on what night of the week?
Friday nights and Sundays.
And do they still do that?
No, it's gone now.
Oh,
Unfortunately, with every racetrack that's in the middle of nowhere and is doing great, all of a sudden people start putting houses up, and then it's gone. It's gone. You know. Don't get me started on that.
well, come on, let's talk.
I didn't think it was fair that this racetrack was there. Originally was, I think, Islip Airport. There's a sign there on Islip Avenue just off by Tamarack Street in that area. And everybody, you know, that's where we put the stock car track, 8th mile banked stock car track. Then the drag strip, and then all of a sudden houses started springing up all over, and then people you know, making noise that it's too much noise and all of that, but you knew that when you put the house up.
Right.
So why is it that this guy gets booted out?
I don't think that's right.
No, I don't think it. Bridgehampton, the same thing. Bridgehampton was a
That was a
world-class
track, yes.
road racing track. They put the fancy houses up in Bridgehampton, and now
Some of the
West Ham-
drivers ever lived.
Yeah,
live on
West
that
Hampton
track,
drag strip, the same thing. Freeport, the stock car track in Freeport. There's no racetracks left on Long Island. You have to go either to Englishtown, New Jersey, or New England Dragway up in New Hampshire.
Say I wanted an engine built in 1975 for a real fast car.
S&K Speed. They're over on 109. Baldwin Motors. Now I'm sure you've heard of Baldwin Motors with the Baldwin Camaros.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there were other smaller guys that would do machine work and build motors. They've come and gone. But it was, and today it's not too hard to find.
What was it like for self-made guys back then to make a living off the gasoline and the engines and all that? Must be pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, but the problem was that it was very hard to make a living off of it. Very few of them made it. The ones that I just mentioned are the only ones that made it. You know, there was Franklin Speed over in Franklin Square, but that disappeared. You know, it's awful hard to make money doing that. You know, unless you get a niche or whatever.
Hood ornaments was
Yeah.
a beautiful display. That was gorgeous. Do you have that in your basement?
Yeah.
We should do that again sometime.
Okay.
Now those were all hood ornaments from. Those cars were from a particular era, or just all different?
No, I had stuff from the 30s all the way up to the late 50s. I think the newest, well, in 58, hood ornaments, 57, they disappeared off. Somewhere around 56, 57, hood ornaments started to disappear, and they would only have a badge on the back or the front, you know, some of a plaque or something.
What caused that?
What's that?
The-
Oh, I believe, now I don't know for sure, but I've heard that it was the insurance
I heard that
companies
too. Yeah.
wanted to get rid of that
Projectile.
deadly thing on the hood because people, when they got hit by cars, some of them might have survived if it wasn't for that hood ornament.
Oh,
So it makes sense.
right.
Don't know whether that's true or not, but
I heard
certainly.
that too. Georgia.
Yeah.
Where did you buy it?
Lindenhurst Dodge, at the foot of Wellwood Avenue and Montauk Highway. It was a Jeep place, now I think it's a doctor's office. Yeah.
Huh. How many miles were on it? 0?
This one?
No, the Charger.
Oh yeah, it was brand spanking new.
Brand new?
Brand spanking new.
That must have been amazing.
It was to me. I worked 2 years in a gas station, 3 nights a week and all day Sunday to get the down payment for the car.
Wow.
I was 26 years old. Started when I was like 24. I was married, had a house with a mortgage and a baby, and I wanted a car, and I couldn't afford a race car or you know, a second car, and that is why I feel that's why muscle cars was such a hit.
Why? What's it?
Young guys.
Okay.
Okay? 2 things I loved. My girlfriend and cars. And I could have had, you know, a fancy car, but I couldn't have a wife, you know, so. But when we all got married and that, and we still wanted still wanted a car.
Yeah.
Not a station wagon, a car. We could go out, buy a car. We could race on Friday night and Sunday. And Saturday we could put the playpen in the trunk. We put the baby things in, the whole go to the grocery store and that. That car was really a multi-purpose vehicle. There's always been cars made that were fast and exciting, you know, Corvettes. But where do you put a playpen in a Corvette? You know, and that's, I think, what really made them so successful, because it filled a niche of, and they sold.
Yeah, everybody had those. It wasn't like you had to be like a teenage guy.
And it was so funny that when you read the history of it, guys like DeLorean.
It's on the GTO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they snuck the GTO in.
Yeah.
Because the big wigs at GM didn't want
That kind
horsepower.
of,
They had some sort of rule that you couldn't have have so much weight to horsepower because GM didn't want to, portray themselves as being hot rodders and speed
That original engine was
and
amazing. They
So-
talk about 0 to 60 times now. That thing was running 3.5 seconds to 60.
No.
Yeah, it was with the
What?
original.
Which one?
Yeah, the original 64 GTO with the 3 carburetors. I'm telling you,
Nah.
Yep.
I never saw one, and I was there.
it was a fast car.
They were fast cars.
Where'd you read that?
Primitive to today's standards. I mean, little four-cylinder cars are doing better than that car. My Charger, the best I ever ran at West Hampton, was 14 seconds flat, just under 100 miles an hour. I could never get the sticker, the 100-mile-an-hour sticker at West Hampton. But the GTO was a factory-installed option in 64 and 65. It was not from Detroit. It was a Tempest with a GTO option that was,
Really?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then when GM, now here we go again, money talks.
Yeah.
When the GM guys started looking at these numbers and they went, holy cow, let's make one of our own. And then they made the GTO from 66 on up was a model. You could get a Tempest and a GTO was a GTO.
Huh.
Where in the beginning it was a Tempest with a GTO option. And it was the idea they sold plenty of cars, so they jumped on the bandwagon.
What'd that feel like to own a muscle car like that as a young guy? It must have been kind of liberating, right?
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, it's the there's a word for it, but we can't say it. I read an article once about old cars and that, and the guy was talking about old cars have a soul. There's just something about an old car. You can have plenty of new cars in your lifetime. They just don't have it. And
Feeling that comes with that.
there were songs written about cars. Who writes a song about a Datsun? Nobody, It's just,
Or a new Toyota?
yeah, it's just not there, And when you think about it, the new cars are so far superior to the cars that we used to drive.
You say they're overpowered. I know you told me that one time.
Well, there are a lot of them that are overpowered,
Yeah.
and a lot of them handle too well for
The level of skill that most people
exactly
have.
because when they get in trouble, they just go too fast, and that's
Yeah.
why you see cars that you can't recognize because they handle really, really well, and everybody thinks they're a great driver until it gets to that point that they realize they don't know how to do this. It's just the car has been doing it for them. Where you drive that 68, you got to be real careful because it doesn't do what a newer car does. It doesn't have the suspension, the technology, and all that.
That's an interesting concept. I've never heard anybody
Oh yeah.
actually describe it that way, but it's really, I guess with an older car, it's you and that car sort of have like a close relationship. You're like its body and
Right. You
and
have
car.
to. You have to drive it. You have to be in tune with it.
Yeah.
And know what it's going to do. It's like you want to learn how to drive a car in snow. You
Okay.
go in a snowstorm up to Macy's parking lot and nobody's in there, and you start fooling with it to see what it's going to do,
Right.
how to make it do what you want. Practice with it.
You always see people out in parking lots when it's snow skidding.
It's
kind of fun.
it's fun, but it also teaches you what to do in a situation. That's what you have to do to learn how to do it. And
So now Bohemia. Who else is like, you talked about Ray Lindsey. Was there another guy who was like,
not specifically another guy. There's a guy up the road here that's got like a half a dozen old Cadillacs.
oh, Cadillacs?
Mhm.
Interesting. Does he take them out?
Oh yeah, he takes
Oh.
around once in a while. Yeah, you see him around. there's other people around that have cars that live here. Lots of people, have fairly large-sized garages and do this kind of work. Just fool around with their cars.
Right.
They like it. Forget it. But anyway,
And so how did that whole thing over at Best Yet happen? How did that evolve? Because that's all the time, isn't it, Diane? Is that Thursday night?
Thursday nights.
Thursday nights?
Like anything else, when you have people that are interested in something, they tend to get together. You'll have quilting clubs, you have bottle cap collecting clubs. If there's something there that people, and the people with cars tend to gravitate to one another, and it's fun to just hang out, look at somebody else's car, show your car off. That's the whole part of the deal. And nothing like a supermarket parking lot that's empty over in the corner.
Right.
Who was the nicest car around back when the muscle cars were really around in force?
Couldn't tell you. That's a matter of opinion. That's why people bought Fords, Dodges, Plymouths, Chrysles, whatever.
Besides, I assume your favorite one. What was your favorite one that was kind of around all the time?
I liked the older cars back then. I always liked the 40s and 50s cars. I had a couple of them, but when it came time to buy the Charger, I needed something very dependable and so. Favorite cars? Oh, one day I'll have a 57 Thunderbird.
Oh,
I have the start of it. I have matching 57 New York State plates. I have the license plates. I bought them at swap meet. But that was a favorite car of mine.
I wouldn't expect that, because if you're into, muscle, I don't usually see you going back that far to those ones, because those were bigger, weren't they? Those 57s? I think
No,
so.
57s were two-seaters.
Oh.
I just liked the look of them. I remember I think I was around 16 or so. Every fall, we'd make the tour of when the new cars came out. You go to the dealer in October or whatever it was,
Right.
and I remember looking at that 57 Bird. I like the 55s and the 56s, but when I saw the 57, that was just the one that did it for me.
That's funny, a certain year always.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like.
Any Mopar guys around here with the Superbird, Super Bs?
Not around here that I know of. There's a guy in Islip that I know. He's got 4 GTXs. He's got a Roadrunner and that.
Dusters.
There could be,
Yeah.
but the Superbirds, they're really rare
very
cars.
rare, yeah.
In fact, most of them that you see, I would think, are not originals.
Yeah.
I think they're just ones that they got a wing and the snout to put them on, but they're not really Daytona Chargers or Superbirds or whatever, but it still doesn't take away that they're neat.
No, true. What's the plan for this car?
Take it off the rack because I just got the brakes fixed and it's my daily driver.
Huh. What motor's
Yeah, that's the one that's always out here,
Yeah,
right? That's
it's
the one.
350. It's just stock small block. That you're looking at a vehicle that I'm sure has close to 300,000 miles on it.
Wow. Is that the original engine too?
No, I put. Actually, this was made from a bunch of El Caminos. I bought it 17 years ago when I first moved into the house.
Mm-hmm.
And if you figure you put somewhere around 8,000 to 10,000 miles a year on a vehicle, it's $170 right there, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And the guy that had it before me,
Probably
he
did the same
video,
thing,
and it's a 27-year-old vehicle.
This one's pretty much interchangeable. Well, most of the old El Caminos were interchangeable with the Chevelle, correct?
Yeah, it is a Chevelle.
Yeah.
It is a Chevelle.
Yeah.
They were always Chevelles except for the 59 and the 60s. The first two were.
Oh yeah,
They were full-size Chevys.
Yeah.
And so what do guys like about these? Like just because you can put stuff in the back? That's the
Yeah.
whole, it's like a truck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they ride like a car.
Uh-huh.
They're really pretty cool looking.
You got a hitch on it too.
Yeah.
You can trail or something like that?
Just because it's pretty, that doesn't mean it doesn't work. I pull cement mixer with it, the tool trailer, it worked. You know, we were talking before about around here, where would you get a motor built?
Yeah.
I just realized Macbeth's got a place. Macbeth was a big race motor builder.
Okay.
He's over here now in Bohemia. Who's the other guy?
How did that change over the years? Did everyone kind of know? Because I know it from personal experience working with my dad, all that stuff, how to build engines. But was it every kid kind of had an idea, or was it?
No. There were, like everything, you know, you get the bunch of people that are interested in something, and some of the people just enjoy it, and then some people get into maybe doing a little bit of their own work, and then some people get into doing some work for somebody else, and then some people, you know, build things so good that they have people come to them, and you know,
so it's still kind of an
pyramid goes up.
Clubs.
Yeah. And Scott Shafroff is over here. He's a big time engine builder.
Yeah, because I've heard I talked to a bunch of guys in the industrial parks over here about engines, and tons of them. Bigger concentration anyway.
There's a fellow right on Johnson Avenue, Dutchman. He does antique motorcycle and car stuff. He's a machinist, so they're around.
Those guys are getting older now, though, aren't they?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's hard to find someone to talk to about that stuff, actually.
Not really.
No,
not because.
That's some of my age I'm talking about.
Yeah, they're out there.
I know they are.
You have to just search it out. I know there's a fellow, his name is Vinny 10, and that's actually his last name, 10. But he was a real contender in the, what's that called, Nokia? The foreign car stuff?
Oh, yeah.
He had a 1100 horsepower Toyota 6-cylinder motor.
Yeah, those, what are those blocks?
It's the one that comes from Japan. You can't get it here, I don't think.
It's the, it was in one of the cars had a, I'm trying to think, what was that called? You know the little two-door coupe Toyota? What was that called? You know what I'm talking about.
Supra.
Yeah, the Supra.
That's what he races.
Yeah, a lot of people race those Toyota Celica Supras.
Yeah, the Supra has like a really
Son did that.
high horsepower
They
capacity on that.
amped them up.
That's like a Porsche turbo block almost.
So, you know, he's a young man. I guess he's in his, this sounds silly, but he's in his 40s, 50s. To me, he is, you know.
It's all young and spirit.
It's all over, you just have to seek it out. And I don't think there were more back then than there are now.
No.
I think it's about the same. Things change a little bit, the styles of cars, but there are people out there that are taking the new Mustangs and doing some crazy things to them, you know. And it still didn't. The muscle cars are still being built, but they're not the muscle cars that we knew. They didn't do the same thing. You want a muscle car now out of the factory?
I was looking at a Challenger the other day.
Challenger.
Yeah.
Well, the only one that possibly can work as the kind of car we had is the Charger, because it's a four-door sedan and four.
I was looking at the Challenger the other day. I really think that car has a lot of great kind of.
It is
very simplistic too.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of.
Well, it's a retro car, and it really looks like
the layout is very simplistic. If you open the hood though,
yeah.
When you look at it, it's just there's two shock towers, not small either, about this wide. And
that's pretty unsimple with all the electronics and all that.
Yeah, I know that.
And they're a muscle car, but you gotta, if it's your only car, and you got a wife and a family, car isn't going to do it for you unless you just leave them home. You know, that doesn't work out too well. And they're amazing cars. And you go down to Newlands Ford and buy a Mustang that has 700 horsepower out of the box. You know, unbelievable amounts of power.
Well, you used to have to add that.
Yeah.
Right.
But it didn't do the same thing as those cars from the mid-60s to the mid-70s. That car filled a niche, and that's what made him so popular.
You know, the Challenger is actually built on the same platform as the Charger.
Yeah. And it's the same as the Mercedes, and it's
don't.
Everything keeps. You know, it used to be. Like, I'm a car guy.
Yeah, me too.
In the 50s and 60s, I could drive down the street and I say, that's a Fairlane 500, and it's got a 252 Y block in it. That's a thing. I could pick out every car, every model, most likely what options, because there were telltale signs. Now I go down the road and I'm looking out at what's out in front of me, and I haven't a clue if my life depended on it, whether it was a Mercedes or a Honda or a Kia.